we will allow.
Thank you there, Lieutenant Colonel. Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. Again, thank you for hosting this Q&A space for us journalists. Austin Ayers with TT News. We've seen numerous flare devices on the live streams from Gaza. Can you discuss that in addition to the type of armament on your aircraft being utilized in these airstrikes?
So you're asking about what type of armaments we're using in fighting here, is that correct?
Yes, sir. The type of armament on your aircraft.
Yes, so I can't go into very specific details, but we are using standard NATO equivalent or NATO approved, NATO standard weapons, very similar, if not identical, to those used by NATO forces around the world and US forces. And all of our we are, as I've said on the media before, committed to the law of armed conflict, and the use of our weapons is according to the principles of distinction, proportionality, and we try in general to use the least or the lightest weapon and the most precise weapon that we have in order to strike specific targets. I hope that answers the question.
Thank you. Yes, it does. Could you go in briefly with the flare devices that everyone's been seeing on the streams? We've been seeing it coming up. They look like flares. Is that coming from Israel or is that coming from Hamas?
I'm not entirely sure what you refer to, flares, because we have seen, of course, during the night when Gaza City is relatively dark, when they fire rockets from Gaza, by the way, from within the civilian population and using houses and civilian facilities as their launch pads, what you see coming up in the air might look like a flare. You'll see a trail and a bright light. So I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Other types of flares could be flares that our aircraft could disperse as a defensive measure, even though I don't think that has been very much needed for in this scenario. So I would assume that you're referring to rockets being fired by Hamas towards Israel. Last time I remember being in a bomb shelter was yesterday during the night. I'm in Tel Aviv, but of course Israelis in the south have been basically not leaving the bomb shelter. And in Tel Aviv and other areas, which is approximately 45, 50 miles from the northern part of the Gaza Strip, there's been many times where there's been rockets fired towards us.
Okay. Thank you very much, Lieutenant Colonel.
Thank you.
Is there any support that Israel is doing, or what type of support is Israel doing to help support the evacuation of the Gaza citizens?
So support-wise, since we are at war with Hamas and Hamas governs the Gaza Strip, our quote-unquote support is that we've opened up and maintained 2 evacuation routes where we have told the Gazans, we have communicated it to the Gazans that these are routes that will be safe to use, and you can use them to go south, which is what we recommend. That's the main, I'd say, support. And of course, we have called on the Palestinians to evacuate, and we have tried to encourage them in various ways. Hopefully, they will listen to those warnings and actually vacate. The rest of the Palestinians that haven't already will actually do that. Yeah.
Thank you.